Hello everyone, this is my short trailer for my Milestone 1. Essentially, the project I'm working on is to do with detecting quality questions and answers in young online communities, and it is based on um, ideas within two papers in particular. One of them is to identify experts in question answering communities, and another one is to do with duplicate question detection. And the idea behind this is similar to Piazzalytics, where we're trying to identify potential candidates for teaching assistants within a particular class. For the Milestone 1 in particular, the majority of the time has been spent working not on Piazza data. The reason is because Piazza data that I requested wasn't made available until perhaps roughly 1.5 weeks ago. Instead, what I'm looking at doing is essentially using synthetic data, which is derived from Stack Overflow. And the progress I've made so far is really around this paper, which is the duplicate question detection. The idea is I'm generating particular features, which will then be used to measure similarity. What I'm going to show you today is very loosely some of the features that I've created, how it can be updated in an online setting, online in the sense of online machine learning, and what it looks like without tuning any of the hyperparameters too much. And that is essentially explaining where I am, the rationale, and how I'm designing it. So what I'm going to be doing after this milestone is rather than just have pairwise similarity, I'm going to have more from an information retrieval. So for example, you input your query and it should return the top, say, 10 queries which are most similar to it. And then I'm going to apply this idea over Piazza data and also look at features and how this can be applied to identify potential experts within the Piazza community. Right, so on to the code. The code that I'm going to have will be available here. There will be instructions on how to get the data to run this code. Essentially, the data that I used was Stack Overflow data, and I have data from 2008 all the way to 2016. I only concentrated on 2 tags, otherwise there'll be way too many posts to download. So I believe I took the tags which relate to HTML and JavaScript, since they're at the same time both quite similar and both quite different, and there will be overlap and so on. So I thought initially that those two would be a good starting point. I can always change that and use other documents. But onto the code. So if I look at the code, I'm using Python and GenSim. The key features I'm using very quickly would be based on this function. So I'm using LSI, latent semantic indexing, LDA, latent dirichlet allocation, word to vec, and a plain old cosine similarity, which is the last one. How I've built it currently is I have a pre-built dictionary. So this dictionary is constructed using 1 year's worth of data, and that's just to get the type of terms that people use. And how this code works is, firstly, we're going to load some sample data, and then this obviously isn't production ready data, it's just an example. I'll load some sample data, then I'll train it in each of these models. I'll see the similarity between two documents, and then I will update all these models with some new unseen data and then see what happens here. I also have some examples of some longer queries which I don't think quite work at this stage, but as you can see from the errors. But let's start by just looking at the first two, which is using the sample data set, running a query, then updating it based on some more data, and then rerunning the same query. So I'm just going to press F5 and run it. So here you can see the first result of each of the various models, the similarity and the this number is just the average of all the values, and this is after with the updated sample what it thinks. You can see that with the updated sample it actually yields a slightly different score. So the word to vec is slightly lower, but the LDA is quite different. Again, these models are finely tuned. There's various hyperparameters you can play around with, and I will probably look at those more closely within over the next few weeks and also in the final paper. That, in a nutshell, is where I'm at with my current project. I hope you enjoyed it.